It was almost every single cast. We were hooking into large, energetic smallmouth that were just all over the place.
And skip it across the top. Ready? Oh, one's coming. Oh, I got it! Let's go! That was so sick.
There was a buzz of excitement in the air as we loaded the van with the 2 canoes and all the supplies for our 5-day journey in the Adirondack Mountains. The feeling of excitement and anticipation was thick as we traveled to the woods we'd call home for the next few days. As we whizzed through the back roads of nowhere, it became abundantly clear that we would soon be alone in the remote wilderness of upstate New York. What had driven us to forsake the commitments and comforts of home for the company of marauding mosquitoes and twisting lakes? We were excited for the journey that lay before us, but knew not what this endeavor would entail. To answer that question, we must go back not a matter of days or months, but years to when in 1992, to celebrate their graduation from college, my dad and 3 of his friends traversed the mighty Allagash River in northern Maine. The word Allagash means bark stream in the language of the indigenous Penobscot who lived on and traversed its runs and rapids for centuries. A fitting name for a river whose dark and tumultuous depths and escape from civilization has drawn explorers for centuries. As my dad and his companions explored the wilderness, they bonded with each other in their efforts living off and with the land. As my brother graduated high school last year, my father determined it would be a perfect gift for them, along with Ben, another of the original 4, to return to their canoe seats on the Allagash. Almost 30 years later, they followed in their own footsteps, re-experiencing the tranquility and joy that remote camping has to offer.
Take me out, I wanna see big, big lights, they shine on me.
It was just something I hadn't done before. Like, I've done camping and stuff, but it was a whole new level. And I just knew that that was something I wanted to do with Jake and to show him that because he hadn't done it before.
And so there we were, with only handheld maps and our own intuition to guide us. Eventually, we turned off onto a 1-lane dirt road so littered with potholes we couldn't exceed 15 miles per hour. It signified that our car had reached the end of its journey, and we'd soon rely on our own strides and paddle strokes to travel. Once we arrived, we began unpacking the gear with us and hauling it down to the water.
So we were carrying it down like slightly in the dark, and they said it was a third of a mile portage. And it felt a lot worse than a third of a mile.
You know, Alex and Jake were both jonesing to go, and even though it was getting late, I was excited to go too. And so we all loaded up the canoes, snapped a few pictures, and I think we actually started paddling at about like 9:15, which really was not a good plan. We didn't know this lake at all, so we were just kind of trying to go off the map and figure out where the campsites were. So it started to get pretty dark pretty quickly as we were paddling across. And then so we found another campsite where there were people at, but we basically just paddled up, and I called out to them and said, "Hey, are there any other campsites nearby here?" And they came over and they were super helpful, super nice. They said, "Yeah, there's one just around the point here. Just go around the bay, or you can paddle over there and get to it."
We were able to quickly pitch our tents and make dinner by headlamp, and then climbed into our sleeping bags to await the light of tomorrow. We woke to explore our new surroundings and the 5-star amenities we would enjoy. Welcome to MTV Cribs. This is Alex Lehman here. He's our maid. He does all the bed prep here for us. Keeps the house nice and organized. We made a breakfast of eggs and hash and enjoyed it by the waterside as we took our first casts. Before long, however, we needed to break camp and file back into our canoes to paddle across the cool blue expanse. We stopped briefly for a quick lunch and a few casts before we needed to begin portaging. First one of the trip, baby. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Dad, catch one for the video. Let's go. Oh, he lied.
The portages. When we have started talking about planning trips for this summer, both Alex and Jake were like, just less portages.
You're almost there.
How close are we, kiddo?
Like 10 feet.
What?
Like 10 feet.
Nice. How much?
Most of that whole second day was portaging. And with 3 of us and 2 canoes, I think we had to do about, 3 total trips back and forth, each one of us. Maybe 4 total trips back and forth, each of us, to get all of our gear and all the canoes and everything.
Don't fucking knock me out on the rebar.
Back and forth. And it was grueling. It was through mud and swamp, and these weren't well packed down trails at all. Alex broke a croc. Jake lost a shoe, I think. 1, 2, 3.
There's a reason why there's no film of us portaging on that day.
Yeah, that was definitely tough work, but it was very gratifying to do it. I mean, it's not like, oh, I want to go do that again tomorrow, but it's very nice to be like, yeah, we just did this, we just kicked some ass, and then to be like, all right, now we're going to get to have dinner and lay down and sit by the fires.
What's on the menu?
Hey, pancakes today. Rio Vermont maple syrup.
I'll show you how they taste, Jake.
There you go.
Need a rating too, just so you know.
It's like Uber rating. How many spoons? How many forks?
8.5 out of 10 regular, 9.8 out of 10 when camping.
Dang, 0.2 off. I don't think you should give him any more pancakes though. After breakfast, we once more clambered back into the canoes and began paddling. Fishing along the way, of course. Alex got the first real largemouth for us of the trip.
Feels good. Got him on the dark green pumpkin wacky worm. So yeah, I'm gonna release this sucker now.
Eventually, we reached our destination, Lowe's Lake. We docked on the far side and quickly pitched the tent and lit a fire, granting us time to de-stress and enjoy the evening. Alright, Gordon Ramsay, break down for us what's on the menu tonight.
Tonight we have a lovely homemade pasta with noodles and cheese sauce in a envelope.
Just a review.
5 stars.
Yeah. Added the ketchup to it and the bagel.
Oh yeah. 5 spoons.
High quality eating right here.
That's exactly right. It was just really, really beautiful. I think there might have been a loon out there singing away, and the light was just right, and the campsite was quiet. We had a fire going, and it was a really nice, picturesque scene.
It's what we like to call double-decker s'more.
What's the cooking status on those marshmallows? What's the ideal temperature?
I don't know.
How do you request those at
Tasty.
a restaurant?
Frickin' tasty as hell. There's one. Then we're gonna do the double-decker. With this masterpiece.
Alright, how is it?
Muy bueno.
Sitting by the fire and knowing you've done everything that day, not like worrying about what's next. It's just focusing on the present that really helps calm my anxiety and stress.
Up until that point, the fishing had been fairly slow. Come on, get one.
There's one guy right there, but he's too small. That's a good strike, it feels like. Yep. Nope, missed.
As we got into Lowe's Lake, things picked up a little bit.
Okay.
Right behind you.
Yeah. There's one. Larry largemouth on the green pumpkin wacky worm.
The real game changer, however, came later that day.
As we were paddling to our final campsite, there was an area where a stream flowed into a small cove, and it looked like it might be good for fishing, so we stopped off to eat our lunch and take some casts there.
And skip it across the top. Ready? Oh, one's coming. Oh, I got it! Let's go! That was so sick.
Oh, it's a big one.
It's a good one.
And it was spectacular.
There it is.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Get him. Nice. Nice.
Splash the audience. It's over a rock. What'd you hit him on? Another camera. Dig it.
Yeah. That's the one I missed, I think. I broke off on it. Get it flying there.
On the bank. Look at the size of this fish compared to the size of the lure.
I mean, it was almost every single cast we were hooking into large, energetic smallmouth that were just all over the place. They were just so energetic, and they fought really, really strong. That's, I guess, why I was thinking of them as smallmouth, because they didn't fight like the largemouth in Lake Champlain do.
However, as we backed out of our newfound honey hole, I discovered something rather unsettling. While wading the tannic stones along the stream's edge, an army of leeches had fastened to my feet.
And as we pulled them off, these spots just bled and bled and bled and bled, and they would not stop bleeding. It was probably a week until after the trip before his feet healed up reasonably well.
It's safe to say I wore socks and shoes from then.
Once my feet were wrapped and bandaged, we settled in for our final evening underneath the pines.
Look at the bass thumb from the amount of fish we caught today.
That night we made spam and potatoes, which may not feel like a delicacy in the land of microwaves and stoves, but when the rain is beating down on your tarp and your arms ache even while they're still, you shovel it down greedily. The final day began just like the others before it. We remarked on how effortless the once troubling procedures of setting the tent, portaging, and paddling had become. Eventually, we reached the Lowe's Lake Upper Dam. It was the first real trace of the concrete world we'd left behind we'd seen in days. The dam was the light at the end of the tunnel for us. In only a few short hours we'd be back to cars, cell phones, showers, and beds. Yet, this was also a bittersweet sensation. We longed for the comforts of home, meanwhile mourning for the simpler lives and connection to the land we would leave behind.
We unloaded all the boats, loaded everything in the van, and we were kind of slow the last few minutes, I think, after that. We didn't jump right in. We took a few pictures and kind of made sure to savor the moment and look around and appreciate the experience that we've been able to have together.
It's just like super like rewarding and relaxing, and just like really makes you enjoy the small things in life versus when you're at school, you're focused on girls, money, grades, how do I look, how do people think about me, versus when you're out camping, all you really care about is like surviving. And it's just so like rewarding to just like be out in nature.
So as we reestablished ourselves in our old routines, we wondered once more, what would our next adventure be?